In this video, traders, we are going to look at never trade under these conditions. Stay tuned. Hey traders, warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, so never trade under these conditions. These would be absolute no-no. If you listen, some of these things you hear about, oh, these guys are trading like this and they're trading and their stories, they're myths. This is the new world, guys. You've got to be professional. You've got to have a good attitude to trading. If you went into a prop firm now and were backed and you were trading under any of these conditions, you would be out the door. These are golden rules that you do not trade under these conditions. Why? Because you are trading with your risk capital or someone else's risk capital if you're trading for a firm, right? You have been given custody of that capital, or you've allocated that capital to yourself to trade. It's a responsibility. And it should not be taken lightly. This is not back in the 80s where there's money swinging around, everyone didn't care, and people bail people out and stuff. That's that lot. That's the bankers. That's all this type of stuff. We're not them. We are traders who are taking considered risk decisions. Considered risk decisions. And so we have to be, the tool for the trade is this. And if we aren't in the peak performance state, things are going to go wrong. Now, are we always going to be in the top perfect state and centered and focused? No. But there are going to be signs when, hey, that level's too low. It's like driving your car, that coolant level's too low, that oil level's too low. Stop the engine, stop the vehicle. You are going to do irreparable damage, expensive damage. That is exactly like it is from a trader. So, some of the golden rules, some of the things to think about things. Number one, if you're drunk or hungover. I know it sounds obvious, but I know guys who have been out, had a few beers, come back from the pub, fired up their trading stations and traded whatever's open. The market is 24/5, guys, and this is a Saturday night. I mean, you probably still trade Bitcoin there now, but come back and they'll be trading Hang Seng or trading some sort of currency pair. No. You are now a gambler. If you're a gambler, that's fine. If you just want to gamble, you've got a few £100 in a trading account, you want to gamble and you're looking at it as a gamble, then as a recreational thing, that's absolutely fine. I've got no problem with people who want to gamble and it's an adult decision, they understand it, that's fine. But you're here and this channel is about becoming more professional and more focused and building your account and making a career out of it if that's what you want to do, and just becoming a little bit better than the crowd. Not just becoming a bit better, but excelling at this job. So trading when you're drunk, no. Trading when you're hungover, no. If you're a drinker, or if you have drunk, you know that after a night of drinking, you feel absolutely awful. Do not trade. Do not trade. It's just not worth it. You know you're fogged, you're fatigued, you've never got a good night's sleep. It's just not worth doing that. You are far better just saying, no, I will not. Better thing to do is just not even drink at all. If you're a person who does like an occasional drink from kind of Monday to Friday, and even taking it steady the weekend, because that will start to impact you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Have a beer or two, glass of wine or two. Enjoy yourself if that's what you like to do. But going crazy, having 2 or 3 bottles of wine, having 10 pints of beer, and then thinking, oh, why is my Monday performance not so great? It's because your body's trying to get rid of all these toxins. So I'm not here to lecture you on your health, guys. Have fun. Do what you want to do. You're your own person. You decide how to operate your life. But just be aware that there is a knock-on impact to your trading that sometimes we don't see. So drunk, hungover, I think that should be obvious. Number 2 is if you're sick. Tricky one this, because how do you define sick? If you're like me, you've got to be really knocked out to feel like you can't get up and get on with the day and do your stuff. But you kind of have to audit it a little bit. And sometimes, unless very rare for me personally, is to be so knocked out that I'm in bed and I can't even get up. Most of the time I'll be up and about and doing stuff, but I'm not feeling great. If I'm just literally I'm not feeling great for whatever it is, I won't trade. I just won't trade. It's just not worth it for me because I know that I'm not going to be on high performance. And I know that if I did trade, I'll regret trading if it doesn't work out for me. So you kind of can't win. If you're not feeling great, just make it a rule. Hey, the default is to not trade, right? This is the kind of the summary of this really. Default is that you don't trade. You should pass certain checklist criteria to trade. Hey, I'm not drunk, I'm not hungover, I don't feel sick, or blah, blah, blah. I've had a decent night's sleep. Okay, now I can trade. So rather than the default is trade, default should not trade. It should be that I will not trade and then pass the criteria. So if you're sick. Now, if you've got a bit of a sniffle and sore throat, well, you'd be all right probably, right? You know yourself more than anybody else. You know that if it's something that's not really bothering you, unless you think about it, it doesn't concern you, then you carry on. You know, you can't just take a day off and trade just when you feel like it. You just have to do the work and put the effort in and the energy in. But at some point you have to go, no, enough's enough. You know, I'm feeling a little bit, I didn't sleep very well with this and that and the other, you know, or whatever it may be. So just be common, have some common sense there. Little sleep, big one, big one. Loads of studies showing, guys, that sleep does not, just sleep really does impact your performance. You know, it just really is the more and more research they do, the more they realize that, wow, the body just repairs itself, it learns stuff, it does this, it does that. People who are sleep deprived the next day are massive, the performance is taking a massive smash. So just be aware of it. You know what you need to sleep. Is it 6, 7, is it 8, is it 9 or whatever? What's your number that you know needs to be within reason of where you should be? And almost do an audit when you wake up, go, hey, I feel okay, right? And maybe you didn't have the great sleep. I'm not saying you have to have the perfect sleep every night, but if you've had a really awful sleep, maybe you've had 4 hours sleep, you normally have 8, and you're like, oh man, then don't trade. But if maybe you don't have 8 and you maybe had 6 and a bit and it was okay, and you kind of need an extra cup of coffee and a nice cold shower to get yourself going and you feel all right, that's different, right? So again, you've got to audit yourself, but be honest with yourself and default to the situation of I'm not trading. Do I feel rested and refreshed enough to be able to manage the risk effectively? And if that answer is yes, you carry on. If it's like, not sure, and then the answer is no. Unstable connection. So we've moved abruptly now from kind of biological things to physical things. So unstable connection, there's nothing worse. If you've got a connection that's coming on and off, don't even be tempted to trade. If an engineer's working on your fiber connection or whatever it may be, and it's scheduled for the day, do not trade. Do not trade. If I get a note that says, hey, we might have your connection might be lost between this hour and this hour on this day because we're doing some maintenance to the line or whatever it is, I will not trade that day. Now, of course, if you're a swing trader, it's slightly different, right? But I'm more talking to active traders out there, scalpers, you day traders, people who are a bit more aggressive and need that. Because you don't want that in the back of your mind. It will be sitting there, and the last thing you want as well is when you take a trade, connection goes before you have a chance to put a stop in. I've been there, guys, loads of times in my early years where I put a trade in, I don't have a chance to put a stop in, connection goes down, you're scrabbling around, there's the number for the broker, I've talked about redundancy and having all that stuff ready anyway, but the easy thing to do is just if your internet connection is spotty, if there's something wrong with it, it's an intermittent fault, if you're trying to trade out and about when there's kind of dodgy Wi-Fi stuff, just don't do it. Just don't do it. It adds more stress. We don't need it. Distractions. It's okay. Again, these things, we don't have to have a perfect environment. We can try and make the best we can, but life is life. Human beings are human beings, right? Very rarely are we, well, I've got a lovely little sleep, I feel absolutely perfect, I've got no distractions, and I know, I get that, guys. You know, we were humans, right? Sometimes you know, great sleep, but it's okay. So distractions, fine, you're going to have the odd distraction, but if you know there's going to be a distraction, if you know there are going to be things that are taking your attention away at the key moment, then don't trade. Whatever that may be. Maybe a lot of people trade from home, family at home, summer holidays, children around, etc., etc. You know, just think and say, hey, is this the right environment to trade? Probably not. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm distracted, and then I'm short with that person, and I've missed this trade, and it's a double. No one wins. No one wins at that point. So just again, default to, hey, conditions at the moment aren't conducive to me trading. I'm not going to trade today. Think about that, or get yourself a separate office. Have somewhere where you can go and trade undistracted if something's happening regularly. And don't appreciate the risk. So what I mean by this is, occasionally you might see a market that's doing something really odd. You're like, whoa, what's going on? And you haven't seen that before, and yet you still place a trade. A good example might be, you know, years ago when we had the COVID stuff, we'll be hitting circuit breakers, we'll be hitting limits regularly, or limits slightly from circuit breakers, we'll be hitting the limit down on the day regularly. And guys would be kind of buying, saying, oh, it's at the limit down, I'm buying. And like, what are you doing? I'm buying, it couldn't go any lower. So yeah, but you can't sell. You can't sell now. You've gone long, you cannot sell. And when it comes off the limit, it might not come off the limit at all today. The next day it might open up, go limit down again. Go and look at your history book and see how some commodities have gone limit down days and days of limit up, days and days in a row, and people have been stuck short. Read the Market Wizards book. Understand what you're doing. I know this is a very, very specific example, but it's the same type of thing. Just make sure you know what you're doing. And there's guys that, yeah, but it's not going to go any lower. Yeah, because there's no bid. When it opens again, it could just go lock limit down again. Now, fortunately, we didn't actually have that, but that's exactly what happened. You could have lock limit down, lock limit down, lock limit down, lock limit down. And then what are you going to do? You just not accepted the risk. It's game over. Your career's gone. You've blown up all your money. You've got a bill for £480,000 to fulfill, and you only had 50 grand in your account. Good luck with that. You know, so again, very specific and extreme example, but understanding the risk that you're taking. People go selling options in natural gas. You know, selling call options in natural gas, and they just poof, suddenly spiked one day, 2 or 3 days spike, bang, 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 relentless. Man, those calls just went shoom, rocket into the sky. Of course, the premium rocketed. Of course, the actual value of the option rocketed. The underlying asset value rocketed. People were stuck. And again, extreme example, but just understanding the risk. Know where you're operating and accept the risk. It's a game changer, that. So never trade when you don't understand the risk of the deal you're taking. Drunk, hungover, sick, little sleep, unstable internet connection, distractions. What have I forgotten? There's a couple I've forgotten, guys. Put them in the comments section below. Let me know when you will never trade. You're such a professional that you say, hey, if this happens, I don't trade. I do not risk my capital. My standards are here. I only risk my capital under these conditions. And if those conditions aren't met, I will not trade. Be interested to hear what you think about this one. Take care. See you next one. Bye-bye.